Welcome everyone. Happy Sunday. Thanks so much for being here. I am just going to make sure that you can see and hear me okay. If you can post in the chat and let me know that you can see me okay, that you can hear me okay. There is a little bit of a delay, but I would love to know that you're here. Let me know about you and your dog and why you are joining us today. So let me just, I think everything looks good. I think you can hear me. So today, happy Sunday, by the way. It is like, I don't think it's rainy, but it is cloudy and like overcast and very chilly here today in San Diego. So I have, hopefully the light I have is is gonna be good enough because there is like no light coming into the house from outside. The sun is just completely covered up where we are. But I do want to hear from you guys. Let me know. I see JR is here. I see Chris Updike is here. Thank you so much for being here today. Let me know what's going on with you and your pets. And if you are having any issues with separation anxiety, or if you're just interested in learning more about it, let me know by posting in the chat. So let's get right into separation anxiety. First of all, it's very important that we figure out if your dog actually does have separation anxiety. Separation anxiety is what got me into the field of dog training, because when we adopted Kim, she had separation anxiety. Fortunately, it wasn't horrible, but it was bad enough that I knew we had to do something to help her. And that's how I started. Like once I got into it, I was just like, I was all in. So, it is something great. Oh, JR says great hair day. Thank you so much. It is something that a lot of dogs are struggling with. And actually, I have heard recently that some cats are struggling with it too, which it seems like cats are a little bit more aloof than dogs, but there are cats out there that are very attached to their humans. So some cats are having this issue as well, but we are specifically talking about dogs today. And after everything that has happened, over the past year, there are a lot more dogs that are starting to experience separation anxiety because they've had their people home 24/7 for months and months and months, and it's becoming more and more of a problem. So let's first talk about, let's see, Chris says, I can hear you fine. I have a 14-month-old toy poodle that just won't outgrow this separation. She has chewed up furniture. I have tried a calming coat, pills, etc. So separation anxiety is something that your dog is not just going to outgrow. It is something that you have to work with your dog on building their confidence, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. But thank you for being here, Chris, and I hope your toy poodle, I'm not sure, okay, you said she, so I know it's a girl. I don't know their name, but I hope I'm sure she is next to your side, and I hope you guys can learn quite a bit today. So, really quickly, before we get into the meat of it, I do want to let you guys know that over on Patreon, if you're not already following me on Patreon, I definitely recommend that you do so. There is all new and exclusive content over on Patreon, and as far as separation anxiety goes for today, today's post went up a couple of hours ago, so you got everybody on Patreon got all of the information I'm going to be sharing today, plus a few extra tips and tricks. So there is definitely all new and exclusive content over there, as well as additions to what you don't get here on YouTube. So I definitely recommend checking that out. After this video is over, the link is in the description. Chris says her name is Abby. That's cute. I like when pets have human type names. Like, a lot of people will name their dog like Biscuit or something like that, but like our dog, her name is Kimberly, so it's more of a real name. So is Abby. I like that. So the first thing to know is that separation anxiety is not always the easiest thing to diagnose, and certainly not the easiest thing to diagnose online, because a lot of the symptoms that we see in separation anxiety can also be symptoms of other medical conditions. So it's always important to discuss any changes in behavior or anything concerning with your dog with your veterinarian, so that they can first rule out any underlying medical conditions that may be going on. Okay, sorry, my nose is itchy. So, it's also really important to know that your dog is struggling. So if your dog is dealing with separation anxiety, or even if they're dealing with a medical condition that is causing some of the symptoms that mimic the symptoms of separation anxiety, your dog is struggling with something, and it's not their fault. It's our job and our responsibility to help them through it as best we can. So once we figure out, if it is separation anxiety, it's really, really important for us to focus on helping our dog build their confidence, because that really is a lot of times the root cause. Sometimes there are other external factors involved, and even if we can figure out what those external factors are, and a lot of times we can't, sometimes it's something that happened in their past that we have no control over and can't change. It's still important to understand that in building our dog's confidence is where they are going to find relief. So some of the most common symptoms and signs of separation anxiety include panting, drooling, vomiting, whining and crying, of course, following you around like they're your shadow, they can't leave your side, toileting in the house even though they're potty trained to go outside, chewing on items just like you were saying, just like you were saying, Chris, with that, Abby has been chewing up furniture. I'm just checking the messages here that you guys are posting. JR says, I smashed the like button, tell everyone else to, and subscribe and turn on notifications. So thank you, JR. So chewing on furniture, like Chris, you were saying with Abby, some dogs, it can get really excessive where they're like eating and digging through walls and door frames and other entry points because they're trying to get out of the house to find you, to get to you. They don't know that you're not just on the other side of the door, right? So, well, they may know that you're not just on the other side of the door, but they're still trying to get out and get to you. Pacing, being really restless is another symptom, a sign of separation anxiety. Jumping through open windows, but also jumping through closed windows, which can be, of course, some of this can be really, really physically dangerous for your dog, and they can physically harm themselves. Excessive vocalization. So we expect our dogs to bark and whine and growl at things in general, but not excessively, right? So when it gets excessive, when they're just howling the whole time you're gone, right? Like that's a sign. And like I was saying, even harming themselves, doing some of these activities. Sometimes they can actually like chew on themselves. That of course can also be a sign of an underlying medical condition. So many of these things can be a sign of other underlying medical conditions. So always make sure you are checking with your vet. So let's see. Yoga Transformation, welcome. Thank you for being here. I have a 4-year-old male, no medical condition. I left him for 6 months. When I return, he must be with me at all times. So I hope you left him like in the care of someone. I would imagine so. And yeah, that's a trigger, right? They lost you, and now that they have you back, they don't want to lose you again. So building confidence is really, really, I'm going to say that a lot because it is really key. Whether your dog does have separation anxiety or not, there are some things that you can do with your dog to help build their confidence and to help them to help alleviate some of these signs and symptoms of separation anxiety. So one thing I do want to tell you, and I meant to grab it. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay. So I apologize. I was since I changed from 11:30 to 11, I've been like kind of rushing in the mornings to get to the live. But so this book has been key for me. I will say I looked it up yesterday on Amazon again. It is Treating Separation Anxiety in Dogs by Milena De Martini Price. I think she's dropped the price now, but this is the book, the very first dog training book I ever read, and it was key because Milena is the world's like leading expert on separation anxiety in dogs. And so yoga transformation. Yes, I was traveling. He was with my daughter with 2 other dogs. Yeah, so he lost you and you came back and now he doesn't want to lose you again. I totally get it. So I was looking this book up on Amazon again. I guess it is like in short supply. I don't know if they have stopped printing it. You can get it on Kindle, though I don't love that idea. I really like having a paper copy of the book, but I guess it's like, I don't know if they're just no longer printing it. It has skyrocketed in price. So it is available on Kindle. I can't say enough about this book. This, like I said, was the very first dog training book I ever read, and it really helped us immensely with Kim. So Kim had her separation anxiety when we first adopted her so it wasn't to the point where she was harming herself, and she wasn't trying to like chew or dig through windows or door frames or anything like that, but she was whining constantly. She was screaming, like literally her scream sounded like a human child screaming, and she screamed and screamed and screamed, and she couldn't calm down. And once we got home, she couldn't calm down and she screamed more, and it was just, I mean, it took a huge toll on her, and like of course it took a toll on us, but I'm sure it was just so absolutely horrible for her, which is why I decided to figure it out and to look into what was going on with her. So I'm just checking to make sure you guys, I'm answering all of your messages here on YouTube. So it was rough. It was really, really rough. And the treatment plan, what I want you guys to know is that it is not a straight path. It is not a do A, B, C, D, and E, and you're good. Every dog is different, so every treatment plan is going to be a little bit different as well. But like I had started saying, and I got off on a tangent. There are some things you can do, whether your dog does have separation anxiety or not. These things are important to do for every dog, but they can really help if you do have a dog with signs or symptoms of separation anxiety. So these things are going to just overall improve your dog's health mentally and physically. So the very first thing that you can do is to play with your dog and provide enrichment every single day. So even if your dog has limited mobility, you can still provide enrichment and help your dog work their brain every single day. And having a play session with your dog at least once a day is so incredibly important. Of course, we want to do something that our dog is able to do and likes to do and engage with them, and not just have them off on their own playing. Like that can be good, but actually engaging in play with your dog is going to help increase that bond, and it's going to give them an opportunity to play. When they're playing with you, then there are sometimes you have the toy, there are sometimes they have the toy, so there are like situations in which they can win, right? Which is building confidence. And Enrichment in general is designed to build confidence. So these are going to be things like food puzzles or food, toys and puzzles. Having your dog, and we're going to talk, actually, I'm going to get into this a little bit more, but working, like letting your dog forage for their food, right? That's another winning circumstance. The second thing, we're going to kind of tie these two in together. The second thing is to actually train with your dog regularly. Even if you can only fit this in a few times a week for maybe 10 to 15 minute sessions at a time, that is wonderful. Positive reinforcement training is great because your dog not only gets to learn cues from you, right? So we're creating the behaviors and actions in our dog that we want to see, but we're building a bond and we're letting our dog use their brain. Again, we're asking our dog for an action or behavior, and when we reward them getting it right, that is, again, a confidence builder. If you think about if you're in, like back when you were in school and your teacher called on you and you got the right answer, how good did you feel about yourself, right? Like, even if you didn't love being in school, it still made you feel really good when you got it right. It's the same thing for your dog. So training with them, providing enrichment with them, giving them opportunities to win is huge for building their confidence. So number 3 is feeding the best food possible, preferably as close to a natural diet as possible. So I don't want you to think of fresh feeding or raw feeding as a fad, because it's not. It is very natural we're trying to get our dogs back to as natural a diet as possible because that is the healthiest thing for our dog. If we think about what coyotes and wolves eat in the wild, they certainly don't eat kibble, but they're eating whole prey. And I was listening to a podcast a few days ago which was specifically about lions, but what was really interesting was that this lady who had been working homeopathically with lions in Africa, who are in wildlife refuge areas, when they take down a prey animal, so maybe a gazelle, right? They take down this prey animal, the lions immediately go to eat the organ meat. And that is the bulk of what they eat, is organ meat. That's just their preference. Now, the rest of the carcass is generally left there because they get full, right? And they leave it. And that's very natural because then birds come and they pick on the carcass. And wolves come, hyenas come, and they primarily eat the bone of those animals that was left over from the lions. Now, wolves and coyotes, of course, will hunt their own prey as well and eat the whole thing. But it was just really interesting to see what actually happens in the wild and what these wild animals are actually eating and what they're thriving with this diet. So feeding the best food that we possibly can for our diet and mimicking a natural diet as much as possible is going to not only help your dog physically, because we're not behaving like ourselves. If we don't feel good because our body doesn't feel good, then our attitude isn't going to be good as well. And it's the same thing with our dogs. It's gonna be really, really hard for them to be super happy and upbeat if their body feels like crap. But also, nutrition affects how the brain functions as well. So if your dog is lacking anything nutritionally, or just because we know that fresh foods are much more bioavailable, we get all those wonderful vitamins and minerals from fresh foods, and we digest them and utilize them, our dogs as well, so much better than synthetic vitamins and minerals. We just don't get this same level of nutrients from them, even though they're designed to be replacements. Our body is smart. Our dogs' bodies are really smart. They know it's not the same. And when there is something lacking nutritionally, our brain function, your dog's brain function, can really suffer. We know there are studies that show cognitive decline with poor nutrition. So feeding the best food possible is also going to be a huge benefit for our dogs. So just want to check in with you guys and see before we keep going. We're good. Okay. If you do have any comments or questions, please feel free to post them in the chat, or if you're watching this later, you can post them in the comments. Also, do make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you like the content, and if you're not already subscribed, I hope you do. Look down there, that subscribe button. If it's red, go ahead and click it and turn it gray, and then select all notifications so YouTube can notify you anytime I post a new video or go live on my channel. Number 4, let's continue to number 4. We're going to do 5 of these. So number 4, consider switching your primary veterinarian to a holistic veterinarian. Even if you don't have a holistic veterinarian close to you where you can travel to them for regular checkups, consider doing phone consults with a holistic veterinarian and then utilizing your conventional veterinarian for any lab work or diagnostics that need to be done. It's my opinion that you and your dog will be much better off. In fact, we're getting ready to move. We actually just got a closing date, or what we hope is going to be our closing date. So it's getting real, and I have already found a holistic veterinarian in our new city we're going to be in our new town. And she actually travels. She's a traveling vet, so that's a plus. So, you and your dog are going to be much better off with the help of a holistic vet, especially if you have a dog who's dealing with something like separation anxiety or allergies, or really anything. If your dog is dealing with anything. And the more and more I learn lately about over-vaccination, specifically how it not only ties into physical disease, but also it ties into changes in mood and behavior. I actually recently listened to yet another podcast and they were talking about seeing not only physical changes in dogs and cats after a vaccination, but also seeing really drastic changes in mood. And specifically, they were talking about, with the rabies vaccine, we're injecting our dogs with a form of rabies so that their body can identify it and start attacking it and know what to do if it attacks it, if it comes across rabies in the wild, right? That's the point of a vaccine. But when you do that, you expect the body to start having symptoms of that disease because it was just injected into your pet. And one of the symptoms of rabies is a huge change in mood and behavior. And so there are a lot of people that are reporting changes in mood and behavior after vaccination. So there's so much more to it. That's just like a tiny little piece. But if you work with a holistic veterinarian, they're going to understand this a lot better than a conventional veterinarian. Conventional veterinarians are wonderful, and we need them, and I love them, and I don't, want you to walk away from this thinking that, conventional veterinarians are bad. They're not. But a lot of times we can find we can find help in different ways that can help our pets differently than what conventional medicine tells us, and we can find more positive results in that often. I hope that makes sense. Let me know in the chat if that does make sense, or if you are already utilizing the help of a holistic veterinarian. I would love to know that. So go ahead and post it in the chat and let me know about that. Or if this is the first time you're hearing that there are different kinds of veterinarians, I would love to know about that too. Okay, number 5, and these are things we can do whether your dog has separation anxiety or not, but if your dog does have separation anxiety, they really, really, really can help a lot. So number 5 is, and let me tell you, I am not great at this. I am working on it, but work on keeping yourself more calm and happy, because our mood and behavior has huge implications on our dog's mood and behavior. They really feed off of us. So if we're feeling down, if we are feeling like, if we go into a situation like just knowing our dog is not going to leave our side, that they're going to scream and cry and howl when we leave, then we're imprinting that on our dog. Like, we are expecting that of them, so that's what's going to happen. So we have to really change our mindset on how we look at our dogs and what we expect. So the next time you do have to leave your dog, know when you walk out that door that your dog is going to be perfectly calm and content and happy until you get back. Like, and really have that feeling when you leave, and see how much it helps. Now, that alone is not going to cure your dog of separation anxiety. There's a lot more to it. So let me just say, JR says, this was great. Thanks. Thank you so much for being here, JR. Chris says, first time I've heard about different vets. Wonderful. I'm so glad to have put that little bug in your ear, because there are different types of vets out there. There are holistic veterinarians. There are integrative veterinarians, which they tend to utilize both holistic and traditional medicine, which is wonderful. Though I will say there are some holistic veterinarians, like, you really want to do your research on these. There are also homeopathic veterinarians, which I am learning more about right now. So there are lots of different types of veterinarians out there, and you are your dog's advocate. So if you're not happy with something, if you're feeling uncomfortable with something, get a second opinion. Find another veterinarian. And I'm not saying that, like, okay, you think that X is happening, so you're going to go out and find a veterinarian to back you up that X is happening. What I'm saying is, if you go to a veterinarian and you're feeling uncomfortable, or you're just feeling like the diagnostics aren't there, or that they didn't put enough time and energy into it, and you really think there's more to it, find another veterinarian who's going to help you dig deeper, because there is always more to dig through, like, always more to dig through. So like I was saying at the beginning, there is no one-size-fits-all treatment plan for dogs with separation anxiety, because there are differing degrees of separation anxiety. Like I was saying with Kim, she wasn't physically, harming herself, but she was very uncomfortable and, like, literally yelling and could not calm down the whole time we were gone. And so there are many different degrees of separation anxiety. And as you start working with your dog, we work in seconds, and we work in baby steps to build our dog's confidence and to be able to take literally a step away from them without them taking a step back towards us. And when your dog can remain calm and not take that step towards you, reward it, because we always, always, always want to reward the behavior that we want to see in our dogs. If your dog can calm down and even lay down on their bed, or something that you've put, a blanket or something that you've put down, and you can take a step away from them without them, like, jumping up, how amazing is that? If they can remain calm, reward that. Always reward the behavior you want to see in your dog, and build confidence. The best way to do that is with enrichment and training. Build confidence in your dog. So again, there is no one size fits all. One thing I would like to mention to you is that we never want to just slap band-aids on symptoms. And that's what we're doing in a lot of cases. Like, even with conventional medicine, not just with our dogs and with conventional veterinarians, it is completely true, but even with us, with our conventional medicine system, we tend to put a lot of band-aids on symptoms, and we never really treat the underlying causes of those symptoms, which is, again, why I say it may be so incredibly important for you to work with a holistic or even a homeopathic veterinarian, because they take those symptoms and say, okay, what is causing these symptoms? And that's what we need to treat. And it may not be pretty, and it will definitely take longer, but you're not going to wind up going back to the vet, every 3 months because your dog's allergies have just gotten insane again, because you're not putting a Band-Aid. Like, we don't want to put Band-Aids on symptoms, because symptoms are so important. They tell us that something is wrong. And if we're putting a Band-Aid on a symptom to make the symptom go away without treating the underlying condition, then that underlying condition is never going to get better. And that symptom is just going to keep coming out worse and worse and worse each time. So, all that to say, basically, there's no one size fits all. We need to work on building our dog's confidence, and we need to take baby steps. Like, literally, I followed the program in this book, and we work in seconds and baby steps with our dogs, and letting them have the opportunity to remain calm in those seconds, and in those, using those baby steps, and rewarding their calm and rewarding their confidence in those moments. So even if you start down a path with your dog, you might get to a point where your dog takes a step back, and that's okay. We need to honor that in our dogs and know that we pushed them just a little too far, and we need to take that step back. So there's a lot of work that we need to do with our dogs, that conventional medicine and even traditional dog training, separation anxiety is a very specialized field in dog training. So if you are looking for help with separation anxiety for your dog, at the end of July, I'm going to begin opening client calls again. So if you want to reach out to me, that is something at the end of July I'll be able to schedule with you again. If you're looking for somebody in where you live, you definitely want to look for a positive reinforcement trainer, and again, somebody who specializes in separation anxiety, because not just any trainer will do, and even not just any positive reinforcement trainer will do. You really have to have training in separation anxiety with dogs. So I hope this helps you guys. Okay, just wanted to check in with your comments and chat. I hope this helps you guys. I do have a couple of other tips for you that you can find on my Patreon. The link is in the description. Some products that have really helped us along the way, because getting support anywhere we can is really important. So definitely check the link in the description to my Patreon. I hope to see you over there. And if you have any other questions or comments, you can post them in the chat now, or if you're watching this later on, you can post in the comments. I'm so happy to see you guys here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. We've already been here for over 30 minutes. So thank you guys so much for being here. Again, JR, Chris, and I apologize, I'm not sure of your name, but your YouTube name is iYoga Transformation. So I guess you're very much into yoga, and maybe even have your own YouTube channel. I would like to say, you guys, just on a different note, while I do hope to see you on Patreon, which is linked in my description, I do have another channel as well if you are interested in all things home. It is called Home Sweet Farmhouse, and I do DIYs, decorating, organizing, all that wonderful stuff. Chris, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for commenting and posting. I hope you and Abby can work together to build Abby's confidence, and I would be happy to help you with that. If you want to reach out to me, you can do so on Patreon or through my website or through YouTube. And so, yeah, I have another channel called Home Sweet Farmhouse. I hope that you check it out if you are at all interested in anything, home related, cleaning, decorating, organizing, DIYs, that kind of thing. My husband also has a channel on here. He helps people start, run, and grow their online businesses. It's called JR Fisher Training. So I hope you check him out if you are working on building an online business for yourself, or interested in figuring out how to create an online business for yourself. And I do want to also say a huge thank you to all of my subscribers. And if you are new to my channel, I do hope you consider subscribing. We talk about all things dog behavior, dog training, nutrition for cats and dogs, and enrichment for cats and dogs, because I love our cats and dogs so much, and I know you do too. So thank you so much for being here. I do hope to see you again on my YouTube channel and on Patreon. And yeah, you guys have a wonderful Sunday, and I'll see you in our next video.